Welcome to an exhilarating event that brings together innovation, creativity, and problem-solving skills like never before. I, Manoj Singh Rana from the Indian Institute of Technology, Gandhinagar, welcome you all to the inaugural event of the third edition of the Singapore India Hackathon. The theme of the hackathon revolves around fintech, sustainability, and ESG, that is environmental, social, and corporate governance. The three-day event will witness 12 student teams, each consisting of 2 Indians and 2 Singapore students, who will compete in person for a 36-hour hackathon spanning today and tomorrow. The teams will tackle problem statements related to the themes of the hackathon. The final award ceremony will take place on July the 16th at 9 a.m. here at the Jasubhai Auditorium. This edition of the hackathon is organized by the Nanyang Technological University, NTU Singapore, and the Indian Ministry of Education's All India Council for Technical Education, AICTE. In partnership with the Monetary Authority of Singapore, Confederation of Indian Industries, Enterprise Singapore, SGI Innovate, Singapore FinTech Festival, Startup India, and your host, IIT Gandhinagar. We have an august gathering of guests today for the inaugural event. We have with us on the stage Professor T.G. Sitaram, Chairman AICTE. A huge round of applause, ladies and gentlemen. We also have with us Professor Tim White, Vice President, International Engagement, NTU Singapore. Professor Rajat Muna, Director, IIT Gandhinagar. And we also have Dr. Abhay Jere, Vice Chairman, AICTE. Thank you so much. We welcome you all. As it is customary to begin an event with a lamp lighting ceremony, for the lamp lit symbolizes the Atma Jyoti, which is eternally knowledge bestowing upon us. Let us inaugurate the Singapore India Hackathon 2023 by lighting the ceremonial lamp. The lighting will be followed by a prayer on world peace and harmony. I would like to invite distinguished guests for the lamp lighting ceremony. Professor T.G. Sitaram, Professor Tim White, Professor Rajat Muna, and Dr. Abhay Jere. Professor T.G. Sitaram lighting the lamp. We would also like to invite volunteers or participants who could join us for the lamp lighting ceremony as well. The ceremony is incomplete without the participants as well. Professor Rajat Muna lighting the lamp. Dr. Abhay Jere. We thank you, all of those who were present for the lamp lighting ceremony, especially the students and the chief guests, Professor T.G. Sitaram, Professor Tim White, Professor Rajat Muna, and Dr. Abhay Jere. Now, I would like to invite Chaitra for singing a prayer on world peace and harmony. Chaitra.
मैत्रीं भजत अखिलहृजेत्री मैत्रीं भजत अखिलहृजेत्रीं मैत्रीं भजत अखिलहृजेत्रीं मैत्रीं भजत अखिलहृजेत्रीम् आत्मवदेव परानपि पश्यत आत्मवदेव परानपि पश्यत युद्धं त्यजत स्पर्धां त्यजत युद्धं त्यजत स्पर्धां त्यजत त्यजत परेषु अक्रममाक्रमणम् त्यजत परेषु अक्रममाक्रमणम् मैत्रीं भजत अखिलहृजेत्रीं मैत्रीं भजत अखिलहृजेत्रीम्
Thank you so much. I take this opportunity to call upon Professor Rajat Moona, Director, Indian Institute of Technology, Gandhinagar, to deliver the welcome address. Professor Moona, please.
Thank you. Good morning to all of you. It's my proud privilege to welcome everybody here, especially AICTE, represented by Chairman Professor T.G. Sitaram and Vice Chairman Dr. Abhay Gere, and everybody else from AICTE, from NTU, Professor Tim White and the team who have collaborated with AICTE to arrange this grand hackathon, and my team at IIT Gandhinagar. Ladies and gentlemen, Singapore India Hackathon, which primary objective of bringing the entrepreneurs of the two countries together in solving the problems of fintech, sustainability, and ESG, the problems which were already shared with them, and they have worked to find the preliminary solutions. The 36 hours of grand hackathon that is going to take place from now, I think it is going to culminate in some very interesting solutions. Tomorrow and today, while these solutions are being developed, we are going to see a lot of excitement in the campus and in the research park where this activity is taking place. Day after tomorrow, on Sunday, we'll have the grand finale, and we will be seeing Minister of Education, Sri Dharmesh Pradhan ji, as well as Deputy Prime Minister of Singapore, to jointly come here and witness this particular finale of Smart India Hackathon. The importance that has been attached to this from all levels is unprecedented. In fact, it has been a very strong encouragement from the Prime Minister of India, Sri Narendra Modi. But for his visit to France and UAE, he probably would have been here amid us to actually give encouragement to this particular event. I welcome all the participants who have come all the way from Singapore and also from India. Jointly, they are working together. Many of them, it is the first time that they are in India. I don't know how much time will they actually have to get out of this place and look around, but we probably think that we have put together a nice program. While you are working on your problems, you will actually have exposure to even Gandhinagar. This is the place, this is the land of Mahatma Gandhi. The Ahimsa movement actually started from this place, and all of you are probably going to see the kind of friendliness, the kind of open arm welcome that people of this area will actually extend to anybody who comes here. I also take this opportunity to welcome all other delegates, all other students, and everybody else who is here to witness a great saga unfolding in next 2 days. Thank you very much. Wishing you all the best.
Thank you, Professor Muna. May I now request Professor Muna to felicitate the guests with a shawl and a memento. Professor Muna felicitating Professor T.G. Sitaram, Chairman AICTE, with a shawl and a memento. A huge round of applause, ladies and gentlemen. I would now like to request Professor Muna to felicitate Professor Tim White from NTU Singapore. And finally, I would like to request Professor Muna to felicitate Dr. Abhay Jere, Vice Chairman, AICTE. Thank you so much, sir, for doing the honors. We have with us today Professor T.G. Sitaram. Before I invite him to the podium, let me introduce Professor Sitaram to the audience. He is not only a respected figure in the technology industry, but also an advocate for innovation and progress. He has been the director of Indian Institute of Technology, Guwahati, Assam, for 3.5 years. He obtained his BE in Civil Engineering from the University of Mysore, Masters from the Indian Institute of Science, Bangalore, and PhD from the University of Waterloo, Ontario, Canada. He worked as a lecturer at the University of Waterloo soon after his PhD and later moved to the University of Texas at Austin in the USA. He also held the position of Director, Additional Charge, at the Central Institute of Technology, CIT Kokrajhar, Assam, for 1.5 years. Presently, he is the Chairman, Board of Governors at CIT Kokrajhar, and Chairman, Board of Management of Northeast Regional Institute of Science and Technology, Nirjuli, Arunachal Pradesh. He has been the Chief Editor of the International Journal of Geotechnical Earthquake Engineering since 2010. He is also the Editor-in-Chief of Springer Transactions in Civil and Environmental Engineering Series, book series of Singapore. He was on the editorial board member of many international journals of repute, including Geotechnique Letters, the American Society of Civil Engineers, the Journal of Materials in Civil Engineering, etc. He has also served as a visiting or honorary professor at many universities in countries such as Japan, Canada, the USA, Hong Kong, Australia, and the Republic of China. I take this opportunity to invite Professor Sitaram for his address to the audience. Professor Sitaram, please. A huge round of applause, ladies and gentlemen.
Namaskar. I think very silent crowd. Namaste to everyone. Thank you. the Director of IIT Gandhinagar, Dr. Rajat Muna, Vice President of NTU Singapore for International Engagement, Professor Tim White, my colleague, Dr. Abhay Jere, Vice Chairman, All India Council for Technical Education, and all the Singapore delegates who have come for the Singapore India Hackathon. We're going to be going for 36 hours, non-stop, solving the problems. And also the team from India, and all the delegates who have assembled in this hall today, officials of IIT Gandhinagar, mentors, students, entrepreneurs, and also many judges and other people who have assembled here both from Singapore and India. A warm welcome to all of you for this Singapore India Hackathon 2023. At the first, I congratulate all the shortlisted students and startups, because this year we have a two-track. One is the students who are going to be participating in the hackathon. Another one is the startup version, who got this amazing chance to participate in this grand hackathon jointly organized by India and Singapore. The close ties between India and Singapore have a history rooted in strong commercial, cultural, and people-to-people links across the entire country in India as well as in Singapore for a very long time. Under the leadership of Honorable Prime Minister of India, Sri Narendra Modi ji, the two countries are expanding their economic development through collaboration in education, science, and technology, exchange of thoughtful leadership, and work through the Singapore India Hackathon. Friends, today at IIT Gandhinagar, we are going to witness the third in the series of India-Singapore Hackathon. The first one was in Singapore, the second happened at IIT Madras, and the third one after the pandemic. During the pandemic, we couldn't continue this practice. Indian Institute of Technology, Gandhinagar, is all set to host the grand finale of the third edition of Singapore India Hackathon, which is starting today and goes up to 16th. At IIT Gandhinagar, we have a partnership with Research Park in collaboration with Ministry of Education's MOE as well as AICTE, All India Council for Technical Education, and Ministry's Innovation Cell at AICTE and NTU Singapore. The event is actually aiming to harness and showcase the innovation potential of the youth of the two nations. The collaboration on projects involving varied skilled individuals to develop cross-country bonds and learn from each other's strengths and also get acquainted with each other's culture, values, and work ethics is something that boosts the spirit of unity rather than any competition. I don't treat this as a competition. This is coming together between India and Singapore. This existing event will feature 6 carefully curated problem statements, 3 under each theme of fintech and ESG sustainability. Very, very relevant topic for the world today. Participants will be challenged to develop innovative solutions addressing pressing concerns in trade, connectivity, financial fraud detection, financial literacy, and carbon footprint monitoring, sea level rise, coastal flooding, and flood recycling optimization. Both Singapore and India is actually blessed with lot of rain. Average rainfall in Singapore goes up to 4,000 to 5,000 millimeter, and in India is annual average rainfall is more than 1,000 millimeter and 5,000 millimeter most of the coastal part of India. So we are witnessing both the positive and negative effects of water, plenty of water with us. here in this hackathon, a total of 24 Indian students and 24 Singaporean students have been selected to participate in this hackathon, showcasing their skills, knowledge, and creativity. Additionally, 12 members from both India and Singapore will be mentoring or guide to support the teams throughout the event. The participating students and mentors will form 12 dynamic teams for track 1, with each team consisting of 2 students from India and 2 students from Singapore. Look at the format. It's fantastic. It's not the students are competing against Singapore. It is both together they compete against the teams which are again Singapore and India combined. The student teams will demonstrate their solution to a panel of dignitaries in the evaluation round on July the 15th. Furthermore, 12 Indian startups and 12 Singaporean startups have been chosen to compete in track 2, where they will directly address 6 problem statements. These startups comprise of teams consisting of 1 to 3 members will compete and present their solutions on July the 14th to clinch the top spot in their respective categories. Exciting prizes are also there for you. Now, I'm not going to read out what prizes you're going to get, okay? But it is very significant both for the startups track as well as the student track. This excitement is building up, ladies and gentlemen. This is only an inauguration now. So, with the arrival of the teams, I hope all of them had a safe trip to India and have also settled down in very beautiful campus of IIT Gandhinagar and also very newly built infrastructure where the hostels, most of these students are staying in the hostels. So we thank Professor Rajat Muna, Director, IIT Gandhinagar, to be as a partner, accepting as a partner with us to run this India-Singapore Hackathon, 3rd time in our country. So I'm very glad that today's youth in India are getting such big exposure to enhance their skills and ideas and the programs organized by Government of India. Friends, AICTE and also Ministry of Education's Innovation Cell is very, very active. It has 7,000 Innovation Institute Innovation Council across the country, with starting from school to college to engineering institutions and universities. And we have kept a goal of turning that this year to 15,000 innovation councils in the country. The next is, these are all, already we have graduated to transfer the technologies, and large number of patents have been filed. So our innovation institutes, innovation councils are supporting in a big way to nurture the culture of innovation and entrepreneurial activity in our nation. This is very essential for a country of 1.4 billion people, because we need entrepreneurs who actually give jobs than seeking jobs. We need job creators, ladies and gentlemen, not the job seekers. So we see that through you. You are the young, very intelligent, smart person who is going to give jobs to so many people. End of the day, whatever education you do, one is acquiring skills and finally ending up with a good pay package and jobs. Everybody is aspiring that. And today, if you look at the engineering programs in India, we are the largest, second largest in the world next to China, producing largest number of engineering graduates from this country. Close to 1 million people are graduating. This is an amazing number. The beauty is all of them speak in English, and they are very smart, intelligent. So they are going to be the global engineers. We are the youngest nation in the world with 500 million people aspiring to study. So our National Education Policy 2020 has defined our agenda very clearly, how to become Vishwa Guru. So that's not the end, just becoming a Vishwa Guru. We want to be Vishwadata. That means we want to give to the world. Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, that's what we Indian people strongly believe in. Friends, today with another agenda of we all come together in terms of developing cross-border developments between India and Singapore, integration of the India's UPI, one of the largest, 46% transactions happen in India, digital transaction. And we hope Singapore's Pay Now will partner with our UPI and we can be the world's largest UPI delivery point to the world. So this is one of the greatest things which we have seen during the pandemic, and just before the pandemic we started this. In 5 years, landmark. Similarly, there are many success stories of Indian innovations, whether it is vaccine during the pandemic for COVID-19, or the way we delivered, or the Aadhaar, and many, many such examples are fantastic examples. And I hope this competition also will lead to such transformative, disruptive ideas which is going to emanate from India's Singapore Hackathon. So we all know that, I told you there are prizes, but winner is always only one. Okay, so you could be a winner today on 16th, but I don't want others to also lose hope and feel disheartened. You are all winners because you have been selected for this event, which is a very prestigious event. I believe in the terminology of participate. You need to participate. And today is the era of networking and working together. So we have come together, India and Singapore come together to work together on problems of relevance to both nations. So I urge all of you to give your best in this competition. I wish you all the very best. And what is most important, have an excellent experience here at Hackathon as well as in the city of Ahmedabad. Thank you very much. Namaskar. Jai Hind. Jai Bharat.
Thank you, Professor Sitaram. We are sure that the hackathon will certainly forge new relations between Singapore and India. Now we'll have an address by Professor Tim White, Vice President, International Engagement, NTU Singapore. Professor Tim White received his PhD from the Australian National University in Mineral Chemistry and Crystallography. He's presently the Vice President, International Engagement, and the President's Chair in Materials Science and Engineering at the Nanyang Technological University. During his career, he has held leadership posts at the Australian National University, Canberra, the Institute of Environmental Science and Engineering, Singapore, the University of South Australia, Adelaide, the University of Queensland, Brisbane, the University of Melbourne, and the Australian Nuclear Science Technology Organisation of Sydney. He's been associated with the Institute for Transuranium Elements in Germany, the Japan Atomic Energy Research Institute, and the University of New Mexico, US, on secondments. His research awards include the Cowley Moody Award for Electron Microscopy, a Senior Fulbright Fellow, and an Asia Fellowship. He was president of the Australian Microscopy and Microanalysis Society from 2010 to 2013. And since 2020 has been the president of the Materials Research Society, Singapore. May I now invite Professor Tim White, Vice President, International Engagement, NTU Singapore, to address the gathering. So, ladies and gentlemen, please have a huge round of applause for Professor White.
Good morning. Dr. Rajit Muna, Director, IIT Gandhinagar, Professor T.G. Sriratham, Chairman, AICTE, distinguished guests, hackathon finalists, ladies and gentlemen. It is a tremendous pleasure to see this theatre full of so many young faces this morning. This is really a reflection of the future for India and Singapore. The warm welcome that we extend to the hackathon teams is really very key, because over the next 2 days, you're going to solidify the concepts that you have developed so far and plan this as code and products. It's worth reflecting why the hackathon is important to both Singapore and India. There are some obvious differences, but also some striking similarities between our countries. The differences are also quite obvious. If we just think about Singapore, its total area is only 734 square kilometres. If we compare that to Gandanaga, it's 326 square kilometres, so it's a little bit smaller. But in terms of population density, Singapore is almost 10 times as dense in terms of population. Of course, overall, India is gigantic. And as Dr. Sitharam mentioned, there are also some similarities and differences in our weather, which is changing. Perhaps, though, one of the key differences between our countries is the demographics. Singapore is a rapidly ageing country. The median age in Singapore is 42 years. In India, the median age is only 28 years. So perhaps this is an opportunity to bring together youth and experience for some tremendous outcomes. Both countries do face the same global challenges, which is that we need to develop sustainable practices. We need to maintain social cohesion. We have to ensure economic security and resilience. So while in some senses the starting points for India and Singapore are different, the ultimate goals are always constant. And of course, we all understand that no country, no city ultimately has all of the solutions to developing practical outcomes. We have to share our best practices and go beyond those best practices so that we create novel ways of moving forward. Something which is very much at the forefront of thinking in both India and Singapore has been the recognition that advanced training, investment in education are the only pathway to social mobility and the provision of talents that convert ideas to solutions. And it's no surprise, if we look at Gandanaga and Singapore, which are roughly similar, that we both have several very much world-class universities. The universities are a key component to securing the future of our countries. They can also be the cradle in which you develop entrepreneurship. So the tie-up between the tertiary sector, the private sector, and government is critical to finding a way forward. And it's undeniable that in developing viable solutions, we need a workforce which is primed for innovation. Before COVID, but even more so now, there is a global talent shortfall, and this is need for specific expertise only becomes more apparent and more critical. Addressing the real-world challenges which will be looked at in this hackathon always demand multiple skills and perspectives. And certainly one of the strengths of bringing together students and entrepreneurs from both countries is that you bring unique perspectives to the generation of solutions. In general, the Singapore-India Hackathon 2023 will serve as a catalyst for the broad exchange of ideas and in particular greater mobility between students and entrepreneurs. And I would anticipate that from today, from working closely together, there will develop lifelong collaborations which are needed to solve these challenges in an increasingly complex world. Finally, there are many people without whose contributions the hackathon would never have happened. And in advance, I will apologise for anyone I have overlooked, but there are a great many people who have made this event possible. Chief amongst these, from the Singapore side, we have to acknowledge the very long commitment of Professor B.V.R. Chowdhury from NTU, who helmed the Singapore-India Hackathon in 2018 and Singapore-India Hackathon 2019, and has continued to provide sage advice and guidance for this third edition of the Hackathon. And we are delighted that Professor Chowdhury is again here this morning to witness this event. Of course, these are bilateral associations, and from the Singapore side again, we really need to acknowledge Mr. Simon Wong, who is the High Commissioner of Singapore to India, Mr. Sean Lim, who is the First Secretary Political, Mr. Chong Ming Fong, who is with the Singapore Consul General in Mumbai, and Mr. Zach Lim. So without the support of these government representatives, it would not be possible to host an event at such a high level and give such prominence to this event, which is going to underpin much of the activity between our countries. The other person that I specifically want to acknowledge this morning is the real powerhouse behind this event, Ms. Preeti Dawa, who is Director of Global Marketing and Strategy in the Office of International Engagement at Nanyang Technological University. As you can see from the people assembled here, she had to deftly coordinate this multi-stakeholder event, satisfying everybody, accommodating everybody to end up with this outstanding hackathon today. It's also a pleasure to acknowledge NTU's partnership with the All India Council for Technical Education and IIT Gandhinagar, who graciously provided the venue for this hackathon, and I think we all agree this is a fantastic venue to host this event. Finally, the hackathon would not have been possible without our sponsors, DBS Bank, the Monetary Authority of Singapore, AIA, Tata IIA, and many other partners, including the Confederation of Indian Industry, KMPG, and SG Innovate. And finally, I just give you one other snippet of information which might surprise you. If you had to guess which country is the largest contributor of direct foreign investment to India, you probably wouldn't know that it is Singapore. Singapore, thank you. Singapore is a tiny country, but it punches well above its weight. Having said that, Singapore needs to work with the world. The story is that if the world sneezes, Singapore catches a cold because we have such an open economy. So what is so important is that Singapore goes to the world and the world comes to Singapore. And the hackathon is such an example of this. So just to conclude, I have no doubt the hackathon will lead to new ideas, new collaborations, new friendships, and new solutions. I wish all the teams and students and startups and entrepreneurs my best wishes and every success over the coming 2 days. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor White. I'm also elated to inform you that we have also been joined by Preeti Dawa. She's Director, Global Marketing and Strategy, NTU Singapore. She has been instrumental to the hackathon on behalf of the NTU. May I now request Professor T.G. Sitaram, Chairman AICTE, to felicitate Ms. Preeti Dawa. Ms. Preeti Davra being felicitated with a shawl and a memento depicting the motif of Sidi Sayyed Ki Jali. Thank you so much, sir, for doing the honors. As we draw to a close of this inaugural event, I'm reminded of Ralph Waldo Emerson, the famous American poet, who once said, and I quote, "Cultivate the habit of being grateful for every good thing that comes to you, and give thanks continuously. And because all things have contributed to your advancement, you should include all things in your gratitude," unquote. On this note, I would like to take this moment to extend our gratitude to all the technology enthusiasts, all the distinguished guests. I would also like to thank the evaluators, judges, and mentors from different industries. As we dive into this intense and exhilarating journey, let us all be inspired by the spirit of collaboration, innovation, and camaraderie that defines the hackathon culture. The possibilities are endless, so let's embrace the challenges, think outside the box, and let your imagination soar. Please note that the hackathon participants must proceed to the right side of the auditorium near the fountain area to board the bus to the research park, where the hackathon event will commence. The hackathon officials must proceed to the left side of the auditorium. And for all the other members of the audience, I'm reminded of William Gladstone, who once said, and I quote, "If you are cold, tea will warm you. If you are too heated, it will cool you. If you're depressed, it will cheer you. And if you're excited, it will calm you." We shall break for tea now. The hackathon will be held at room 401 in the research park. So fasten your seatbelts for the hackathon of the year as it is about to unfold. With this, we thank you for joining us for this inaugural event of the 3rd edition of Singapore India Hackathon 2023. Thank you so much.